All right. Welcome, everybody. This is episode 35 of Unfiltered Race Fans Only podcast, brought to you by Prime. Make Prime primary, as Blake was just showing a second ago. We're going to do our catch up on Bristol. Sorry for the late weekly release. We're trying to do better, but I've been traveling for work, and this is the first time I've had like stable internet where I can get this done. So my apologies to my co-host here and partner in crime. My for delaying us. We're trying to do better about doing it like the day of the race so we can just get our raw, unfiltered thoughts right then. But so a year ago, you and I went to this race and your boy dominated and we loved it. This year we go back and we get the result of the spring 24 race, the spring race that we didn't go to, where tires basically they had marbles, but they couldn't stay together. And you got lots of cording and everything. So we'll talk about whether we thought that was a good race, and then some of the rumors we're hearing on they're supposed to meet this week to finalize. Sounds like finalize what the playoff format's going to be for next year. There's definitely going to be a change. It sounds like Jordan Bianchi leaked that more or less. So we'll get into that
Not,
after.
there's no way Jordan and Bianchi leaked something. No
No,
way.
not the Bianchi bombs, right? So
Mhm.
um, let's start with the weekend. So we start with practice. Everybody's thinking, okay, what are we going to get? We're going to get tires that, disintegrate like spring 24, or are we going to get tires like fall of 24, and earlier this year, where, the tires didn't come apart and wear as much. Uh, and what we ended up with in practice was, yeah, everything looks good. Unfortunately, that's not how the racing went, but we had a barrage of different kinds of racing all weekend at my favorite track. If anybody's ever been, like, once you go, I don't care how good or bad the racing is, you can't not be a fan of Bristol after you've been there. I still just think it's one of the greatest tracks we've got out there, period. But so let's start with just the initial question. Did you think it was a good race, or did you think it was a bad race for the cup race? I'm going to say yes. I think you're going to have a different opinion.
Well, I have a different opinion from
Yeah.
our,
So, so,
our text
so,
deal Saturday night.
yeah.
But you get to hear me verbalize it. Now, as far as the action, I will give it this. It was better than spring 24 when it comes to the later stages of the race because of, and I think it's purely because of the playoffs. You had Alex Bowman trying to get in. You had Hocevar potentially getting his first win. The 54 potentially getting his first win. You had all this stuff going on. You had Cindric catching on fire, potentially losing a spot in the playoffs
Chase
because of the
Elliott, Rex
fire.
out.
Chase Elliott Rex. There was a lot of drama going on due to the playoffs. And I
Yep.
think that helped what was going on. I do. And it did make me a little intrigued there because of that. But my thing is, and this is what we disagree on, I want tire wear just as much as anybody else. This is not tire wear to me. This is tire failures. No, they're not a tire failure in the sense of blowouts. But we have
Yeah,
to, everybody
it
look
wasn't
at,
like Indy
at
or the Brickyard where they were literally just blowing out. So yeah, or
right,
sharp.
but
Yeah,
technically, in my eyes, it is somewhat like Indy because everybody's like, and you yourself as well. Everybody's like, well, it's 40, 40 laps, and they're really having to baby them and stuff. And well, you got to look at this. 40 laps is 20 miles.
yep,
20 miles, and your tires are failing. I don't like that. Now, if it was 80 laps and tires failing, I'm good with that. 40 laps is 20 miles. And I don't think anybody's looking at that. It's 20 miles and your tires are just, no matter what you did. Sorry, bye. I know the third or fourth run, Larson literally from word go, he got new tires, went on the track and babied them, and then within 10 laps they were shredding. That's not good.
I agree with you. The one thing I'll say, and I'm not blaming Larson in this case or anybody that was in that situation. So if we rewind back to the spring or to the fall of last year, the tires, perform differently. The temperatures vary. So we're obviously seeing just how crazy temperature sensitive Bristol has become with this car and this
Yeah.
style of tire.
It, if
Um,
you look back at the spring and practice, they were falling apart like they were in the race
yeah.
this fall, and then the race was like practice was in the fall,
Yeah.
and the race was like practice was. So like it was kind of weird how they flipped, like
So
how that went.
so my justification on why I thought it was a good race is if and I'll say this, if this was the first time we had seen this with the tires, then I think I would have probably a more sympathetic view on the people who had problems. But because we've already had a race like this, and it's a possibility, especially when they said they're coming back with a tire, and from what Denny was saying earlier last week, leading into this race, that when they did the tire belt test, like the tire basically disintegrated. I'm surprised that drivers didn't come, or not drivers, because they don't control the setup of the car, that the car chiefs, pit crews, everybody that sets up the car and gets it ready for the week didn't come with a more tire saving setup with a less aggressive, camber, skew in the rear toe, all those things that you can do to try and change it. And you could tell who had better setups than others because some guys, Ryan Blaney, um,
Brad K.
Brad K, Denny Hamlin, when he wasn't having problems, like Denny Hamlin had three sets of tires, brand new tires set laying in the thing because his car was able to save tires better than others. Blaney was able to go
He,
70, 80 laps.
he
Brad
could
was able to
save
go
every
over
tire
100.
but the right front.
Yep. So the problem was if you had the problem with this tire, it to me isn't that the tire was only lasting, 40 laps of really good hard push for most people, 60 at best, and then if you didn't take tires, you were pretty much screwed. It's that this car doesn't have enough adjustability built into it to where if something like this happens, you can't do anything about it. It's not like you can park the car, make major adjustments to the toe and the camber and the counter steer without basically giving away the race.
I
You know,
want to agree with you, but I don't remember the new guy. I knew the old guy's name was Greg Stucker, I think. I don't know what the new guy's name is, but he said on national television, the tire is doing exactly what we wanted it to. I did not like that.
oh, I
You
agree.
wanted the tire to shred?
Well, I think what he meant by that, I'm not saying that maybe he didn't mean exactly what it sounded like, but I think what he meant by that was you guys said after we had the chaotic Bristol spring race, that's what the direction you want us to go. We went that direction with the tires. It does seem like they found a way to make them wear more extremely, not just for this race, but we saw better racing at Richmond, better racing at Iowa. I'm expecting better racing at New Hampshire this coming weekend with softer tires. But I do think that the configuration of the car, along with the temperature, can exaggerate the amount of wear, obviously. Because again, we saw. So let's pick somebody from the field. I look at spring 24 when we had this kind of race. Ty Gibbs dominated that race, but he didn't have the tire management, the race management skill under him in the Cup Series to be able to make it last. And he would run to the front and then blow a tire and fall right to the back. Meanwhile, Denny, Truex, Brad, they all just methodically worked their way forward. Three races later, we had a fall, the spring, and here we are again with the same problem. Ty Gibbs should have won that race. If he had not blown his pit stop, he was going to win that race. It would have been between him and his teammate for sure. Um, he had managed it perfectly all night. When he got ready to come down and to make his final pit stop, he came in too hot behind his teammate and blew the tire by flat spotting it. At that point, that ended his chances. So, and as far as like separately from like a Zane Smith who ran really well all night, most improved from the first time we ran this race like this to the second time, definitely Ty Gibbs because he understood where he went wrong and they were able to reel him back in. I really thought he was going to get his first cup win on Saturday night.
And if it wasn't for him having to lock it up to not hit Chase Briscoe, he probably does win.
But because you saw him and Hocevar, again, I said it during the spring race when you and I were talking about it and anticipation of us going to the fall race last year. I still think this is too extreme on the tires, but as far as like an overall entertaining race, so Jeff's good race poll was 81%, I think was the final reading somewhere 81, 82, something like that. I voted yes for me personally because if we're looking at all the other races where constantly drivers go 150, 200 laps on a tire, well, that's too far extreme on durability in my mind because the
Well,
races are only 400 and 500 miles. If you're telling me they're only going to change tires 4 times, why are we giving them 8 sets?
yeah,
Now,
I get that.
I think they should have given them more tires, knowing that they had planned.
Well,
And initially, I didn't, but after listening to some of the Sirius XM discussions with some of the other, I think it would have made for a better race if we had given them 4 more sets of tires because then they wouldn't have had to baby the tires. Yes, you still would have had to do tire management, but you wouldn't have had to your point, Larson wouldn't have had to come out of the pits and immediately go to a second off the pace and not going full throttle. Everybody would have been able to go full throttle and you could kind of start backing it up once you got to where you wanted if you had extra sets laying in the pits, as opposed to I've got 8, and if I run out, like Joey Logano ran out, some other guys ran out, where like you better not screw yourself because if you run out of tires and you corded all your others, you just have to take the loss. And
yeah.
so, go
Here,
ahead.
here's my thing, and you said it Saturday night. I think Chip did as well. Old Bristol's back. The bottom is king. The bottom's king, and
Yep.
that's what everybody seems to want. If that's what everybody wants, let's not make the tires be the reason for it. Just repave the fucking track. Repave it. Make it back to I think it was used to be 32 degrees all the way up.
Yeah.
Repave it. If that's what you're wanting, repave it. Stop putting PJ1 down to make it be that way. And
Yeah.
then you don't have to do this tire nonsense. There's going to be cars that are faster. They're going to have to move people out of the way. You're still going to get the old Bristol no matter what kind of car you bring. Am I
Yep.
wrong on that?
The left sides didn't wear because they were in the PJ1, so they were able to survive. The right
Well, they
sides,
didn't wear because the only tire that was new was the right side.
yeah, but I mean, in terms of like the abrasion, the right sides were changed, but the right sides were in the more abrasive surface also, the less sticky surface that was pulling the rubber and keeping it. So
Yes,
you
but the
saw
right
that
side tire
improve.
was the new tire. The left sides were the ones we've been running the last 3 years.
Where I think if you had gone a full car width of PJ1 up off the seam, you probably don't, you still have the tire wear, but I don't think you have the cording because
Yeah.
it's holding the rubber instead of shredding it and throwing it. So it would have been packing it. So
And you
I think if you
still
brought
get this
back the,
bottom line racing you want.
yeah, I think if you get the same, if you brought back the exact same tire, made no changes whatsoever, one, the teams would make it last longer, just like they did going forward last time. But if you were to widen out that PJ1 groove, I do believe with that same softer tire that they probably could make it last 20 more laps. So instead of 40 to 60, you get 60 to 80. I think that's a more fair use of the tire for a 500 lap race. Um, so I enjoyed what I saw. There was tons of passing. You could pass when you wanted to but it was because of the pace. It's not because the faster car came. It's because somebody decided, okay, now I'm going to use my tires to gain position. Whether that
Yep.
was Hocevar, Zane Smith, Stenhouse was coming through the field when Ty Gibbs was ready to go up there and resume the lead. When his teammates Bell and Briscoe, like all night, the people that had the setup that could make them pass would be able to do that, and so that was good in my mind.
Right.
Um, I think everybody's going to agree the tire wear was too excessive, but overall, I think the race had what you wanted. We finally had natural cautions because the bottom line being dominant. If you misjudged it, like Chase Elliott did, here comes John Hunter Nemechek. He's filling the hole. He's coming in off he's letting off the throttle, but he's already coming in at full steam, and the gap closed faster than Chase, anticipated. And once Nemechek hit him, it bounced him back into Denny. Denny hits him, and then like away Chase goes. Well, that's how it used to be, and so I think that was good.
Well,
These were natural cautions. People spinning out, people, having incidents. Go ahead.
well, the problem is this race showed that I lost my train of thought. Basically, that the I lost my train of thought. I'm very sorry. It's
That's
fine.
okay. It'll come
It's
back.
fine.
Don't worry. Well, the other thing I was gonna say is, what the, like I was impressed with Zane Smith, his night overall, ran up there, pretty much stayed out of trouble overall.
I remember that.
Yeah, let's see who else. Denny, I was surprised at the problems he had, honestly, because of the spring race. When you look at how well he did when we had this tire issue last time, I think they just missed the setup, and that's pretty much what he said. But when I was watching it, I was like, they must not have prepared for this kind. They must not have anticipated this kind of setup because he should be up there based on his tire management skills, and he wasn't able to with the car he had. Bowman was really the only HMS car that was able to do anything all night. The rest of them struggled with tires. Larson struggled with tires. Byron struggled with tires. Byron
Yeah,
got
they
a
were
lap
all
down
lucky.
and he tried to get the lucky dog by wrecking somebody purposely. That got taken away from him, which is good that NASCAR for once didn't reward the person causing the caution. They actually stuck by their guns on that one. And then Chase got booted. So HMS, when I'm looking at the whole first round, HMS better get their shit together. They make it a second round. That was like a mulligan round for them as a whole.
And they were all the 9 and 24 and the 5 are all very lucky that they had points in the bank because they would have all been out otherwise. What I was going to say that I forgot for a second there was what this race showed is that Ford has a problem when it comes to tire wear races, and not the car themselves, but the car, not the car as far as running on the track, but collecting tire rubber.
Yes.
They
Yep.
two cars catch on fire, and if you remember right, Kevin Harvick had the same issue when we went through
Hmm.
his car.
You put him out of the playoffs
So,
this final year.
so they still haven't figured it out, even with the new dark horse. They need to figure out what they need to do to make sure rubber doesn't collect inside the car and catch on fire.
Yeah, because
Because that's
everybody's front right wheels were on fire when they would come down the road, but
yeah,
only the Fords seemed to accumulate it up under the rocker panel
yeah,
past the front wheel where the exhaust manifold came out, which is interesting to me only because that area is common under the car. They're supposed to be for everybody. So what the hell are they doing that's different?
exactly.
Um, so I agree they've still got the same problem. Busher had his strengths during the night. Bell, I honestly, so last when we made our pre-playoff round one predictions, I had picked Bell to be like the big name to miss it. So
Yes, you did.
clearly I done fucked up on that one. Not only did he not miss it, he made it and made it handily. He scored good points and he won one of the races and JGR swept the opening round.
Yeah, I was
And we
about to say JGR swept the opening round. That's
and not,
insane.
and not just JGR sweeping the opening round, Toyota as a whole just came in there and smacked the shit out of the Ford's and the Chevys.
And something we forgot to bring up last week was Toyota's 200th Cup win. This is
Yeah,
201. So
yeah.
it's crazy
Um,
they've already gotten 201 Cup wins, only being in the sport since '07.
I predicted that Penske would go 4 for 4. I still think they will, but I'm starting to lean very much towards what Chris Gabehart said in the team breakdown on Monday that the championship is going to come from somebody in that room between 2311 and JGR. And
I'm
you know,
hoping they're wrong, but
I'm hoping
possibly
they're
very
wrong,
much.
but I'm not seeing anybody saying they're going to deter them. I mean, Briscoe is on it. Bell right there, getting back right, picking right back up some of that momentum. Denny had a bad night, but that's not typical for them. And they will likely rebound this week at New Hampshire. Yeah, I just and if anybody's going to miss the next round from the Toyota camp, it's probably going to be Reddick because even though they've got speed, they just seem to have mistakes still.
They can't get out of their own way.
Yeah.
So I have
But
a question for you about
yeah,
this race, and I have an answer for it myself, but I want to see what you say.
yeah.
Yeah, we had, Tyler made it kind of a crazy race and this and that, but what do you find was the most remarkable storyline of the evening?
Initially, I would say that the bottom line racing was back with the the ad of the shredding tire with the or with the superwear tire. At the end of the evening, all of a sudden, when Chase Elliott gets wrapped up in his issue, and then Cindric catches on fire, and like these two things happen, all of a sudden the race for the bottom came into they went from there was no chance any of these guys were going to advance other than Bowman staying out there and leading to it was very close. You started watching those points click away like tick 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 as Chase being out watched his drop away, and then when Cindric had his fire, I'm like, oh, he's going to bail Chase out, and then Cindric was able to stay inside that car that was on fire and finish the race. I don't know how he did that,
Yeah.
and didn't suffer some type of carbon monoxide poisoning or smoke inhalation problems.
But I'm surprised Josh Berry didn't have smoke inhalation of some sort because that
But yeah,
had it way
that
worse
car,
than Austin did.
which I cannot. We've seen people go into the playoffs or into the chase, back before the playoffs and just seen their season go to shit. But
Yeah.
it's been a long time. I can't think since like Kyle Busch in '08. I think when he had 10 wins or, you know, where somebody's gone in and had that much bad luck. It's not
Yeah.
even
Josh
that
Berry
good,
had
but
it.
like he's gotten taken out.
You've heard the golden horseshoe. He had the shitty horseshoe
Yeah,
because
he had
it
the
was
red
nailing him
horseshoe. If
right in
the
the
gold one's
temple
lucky,
every race.
he had the black horseshoe. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I just can't believe like he won so early on. They had so much speed early on. You thought like the 21 team had a lot of promise this year, and then it's completely gone off the rails. And I don't understand what the hell happened. I really don't.
Yeah.
Because he proved he could wheel the shit out of that car right out of the gate, and here we are. And he exits with three last place.
It proves bad luck is a thing.
Yep, yep. Somebody
Um,
a a Josh Berry voodoo doll or a 21 voodoo car, and they need to put that thing down. Those people didn't do anything wrong to anybody.
they did nothing wrong to you. There's no reason to penalize them for something you feel.
Yeah, I feel really,
So
really bad for them. Go ahead. What
the,
was your
the
thing that?
reason I asked that question is I had an answer already.
Okay.
It's not being talked about that much. I saw an article on it and I knew it was fast. But I did not realize it was this fast. So we all know Larson wrecked. We all
Mhm.
know he broke a toe link. But what they're
Yep.
not showing and talking about, now he was already lapped down. When he got to his pit stall, he's 2 laps down. They changed the toe link, Alan, in 1 minute and 50 seconds.
See, so that's
So
really
the
fast.
fastest that's the fastest anybody's ever changed a toe link. He was 4 laps down, never lost another lap.
So that tells you all those issues where pre-playoffs where they were practicing those pit stops and the damaged vehicle policy, they learned
Mhm.
something. They learned
Yeah,
faster ways to do this because they were able to come back out, get the fastest lap. In this case, they were able to come back out and not go down a bunch more laps, which helped maintain positions. Granted, they had already locked themselves in by the time they had their problems,
yeah. He
but
finished 31st, 4 laps down. He could have very easily been 35th, 6 laps down.
yep,
Which I mean, that's 4 points. You know, so it goes to show you that Hendrick has figured out, or they've obviously been at the
yeah,
at the shop going, okay, change the toe link. Okay, here's how we can do it faster. Here's how we can do it faster. And you got to remember, when he got into the stall, they knew they had a toe link broke, but they only knew for 20 seconds, 30 seconds.
yep.
So within 30 seconds, they grabbed a toe link and they got out there and they changed it and only lost 2 more laps. That's insane.
Yeah.
So moving forward, that could be a not a championship move in the aspect of that race, but it could be like something that could help them down the road if
It
something
could be,
happened.
it could, like you said, it could be a championship defining moment in the final race if they're in it, or to get them to the final four. Because I mean, that was the difference. That amount of time and quick decision making is about the same amount of time the difference was between when Chase Elliott's crew hopped off the wall and then reached back
Mhm.
on and touched the
Yeah,
wall.
exactly.
It saved his pit stop. So that quick reaction time and learning definitely. Um,
The fact that he broke a toe link at Bristol and only lost two more laps,
yeah.
I was like, how the? I went in the moment. I was like I was thinking about it, but my wheels weren't churning all the way. I'm like, did they really just change a toe link and only lose two laps?
So I do want to say this before I forget the toe link thing. So we've been seeing in-game footage. You pointed it out to me before we started
Yep.
of this new NASCAR game coming next month. Be here very shortly. You
Hmm.
think you're going to be able to change toe links under pit stops in this game? Like, how realistic? How realistic
I
is
kind of wonder.
it?
I kind of wonder that. I kind of wonder if on the Cup side, that's going to be on the realistic damage side.
Because like when their prior game, NASCAR Racing '03 was the last time they did Papyrus, before they became iRacing. Um, and when you would hit the wall, it would not do things like that. It would damage up, it screw up your arrow, and the car would
Yeah.
drive a little worse. But you never had to come in and do those kind of things. So I am curious, like, what's the damage if you go full damage on in this game? What's what kind of impact something like that's going to have? You hit the
Yeah.
wall, does it knock the toe out like it should? And when you see it happen in things like Forza and other simulation style games, so that's just a separate thing. I'm
Well,
eagerly awaiting to see just how realistic you can make this, or how arcade like. But
yeah.
yeah,
So before we go on to the last topic being the potential new playoff system,
yeah.
who are your next four out?
So well, hold on before we finish that. Let's
Sorry,
before we get to
sorry,
the
sorry.
final four out. Who else surprised you with their overall performance? Like Joey Logano surprised me, especially with only one set of tires left. How he was able
Yeah,
to make it
I,
last, and
I have something for Logano. That was his first back-to-back top five since 2022, and he won the championship last year, and that was his first back-to-back top five since 2022, or it might have been 2023, but regardless, that was his first top five in a very or two back-to-back top fives in a very long time.
yeah. Let's see who else really surprised me. Like I said, I was very impressed with Ty Gibbs, what he learned from the spring race when we had this kind of issue to three races later.
Oh, I thought we were talking about playoff drivers.
Well, I'm just saying in general, like the race
Yeah.
overall. Hocevar,
I mean, obviously the 38.
yeah, Zane Smith, impressive. Um, I thought Ricky Stenhouse was going to recover, but then he got
The
screwed over.
48 spun twice, if I remember right, and he
Yep,
still
and
almost
they
won the damn
still
thing.
were. He still was contending for the win.
Yep.
Um, well, let's talk about for a minute how Bell won the race. So we were getting ready to have like an epic finish first off before that final caution, because you've
Which
got
I don't believe should have come out.
yeah, like that final caution. I wasn't very happy about it. I was like, well, they just screwed up the end of this race. Then because Brad's up there managing it, babying his tires. Bell's coming, kind of closing the gap. What's going to happen when he
Both
gets
of
there?
our 48.
Yep, 48 also pushing it on new tires coming. Like there was a lot of really good storylines. So then there's only 8 cars on the lead lap when we get this caution.
I
They all
think
pit.
so.
Well, 3 stay out, 5 pit. So when they line up, what surprised me was Brad came out first, and Brad took the high
That
line.
was the fucking top. Chris was so fucking pissed.
I could not believe he took the top, knowing that with worn tires, these guys are going to slide up. So they're going to block your lane. You have no way around them. That, to me,
I
the winning decision for Bell. Bell didn't even have to make the winning pick. Brad made the winning pick for him.
I think that
Another person
Brad felt they
put
would
him
make
on.
it through turn one and two fine and wash up in three and four and be able to sweep underneath them.
Yeah.
I think he was thinking too far ahead.
Yep. I could not believe he took the top, knowing there's no PJ1 up there. That's where the tires are going to get graded the hardest based on what we've seen all night, and that you're not going to have that grip on your left sides along with the right. So I just that little bit of advantage. Now, two more laps. We would if we had two more laps of racing, that would have been a hell of a show to see just how bad each one of them wanted it. Because I
Yeah.
think Brett would have tried a different move or tried to
Yeah, the fact that Brad tried to rattle his cage a little bit,
try to knock him into next
I,
Sunday.
I was shocked. He tried to. I was trying to rattle his cage a little bit. I thought that was crazy. He tried that.
But I
I
gotta
was
give
not expecting that out
Chris
of him, but
I gotta give Chris credit for backing up. Like, okay, if I back up the car and I square up my car, then he can't really knock me sideways. He's gonna have to hit me square. Like that was brilliant as well. What
yeah.
Bell did there.
And then I got to mention for our old buddy Kevin, uh, Christopher Bell, uh, saying that the race was in memory of Charlie Kirk was awesome. I
Great.
really thought that was a great move for him to do that.
Absolutely.
But
Yep.
it probably also got him a shit ton of new fans too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Um,
Even our old buddy Kevin, that mentioned that for, he's a big Hinder guy, has been for a long time, and he said he
yep.
got a new fan. So
Yep. Well, I mean, the only reason why he doesn't like him is he's with JGR.
yeah,
So, and
yep,
that's a lot of people, you know.
yep.
Um, but yeah, there was a lot of good racing between a lot of people. It showed a lot of potential for some people that often get overlooked, just especially now in this time because of the playoffs. So for people like Zane Smith to come up there and run well, it was good for them. So
Yep.
uh, it's the last thing I want to say about Bowman. It's just crazy how last year Bowman was the highest points accumulator in the playoffs, most consistent. This year, we fast forward 12 months and they haven't been that good about being consistent about accumulating points. And so last year they get thrown out of the playoffs on a technicality. They lost the weight when they hit that thing uh, at the
And they
Roval.
didn't
That
challenge it.
allowed,
And they didn't
yeah, they
challenge
didn't
it.
challenge it, and you could see it come out of the car. You could see the lead, so they would have gotten a penalty either way. But that allowed Joey in. Joey wins the championship. You gave that team fresh life. That was a mistake. We said it then. Like the moment you let him back in, that's a mistake. Like he's going to run the table now. The only person who's going to stop.
Wasn't even here.
Yep. And then so here we are. We fast forward 12 months, and there's all these different. Who's on the hot seat? Is Bowman safe or not? He's always the one up for discussion. It sounds like Haley's going to be out of his car. Suarez is looking for a ride. Like there's all this different discussion about who's where, and there's supposed to be a lot of free agency next year. I would
Hmm.
hate to see Bowman. This is just me. I get everybody's knocks on Bowman all the time, even though he's got a bunch of wins. I would hate to see him lose his seat for things that aren't even in his control. He doesn't build the car, they get thrown out because he loses the weight. That's a team problem, not Bowman's problem. They had the problems they had this year that also weren't his problems. The super slow pit stop, the air gun not being connected, like none of that is his fault. But yet, if he goes out in the first round of the playoffs, they look at the team overall as a failure. Well, like, is it really his fault though, or is that team just not performing like it should? Because I don't think the results won't change no matter who you put in that car if the team's not performing. It'll still be the same results. So, but we both know that HMS
Well,
is always.
I, I gotta disagree with Smedge because Darlington, the reason he ran so shitty at Darlington was the teams had a almost minute long fucking pit stop.
Yeah, because of that
So
air gun.
he lost 20 points right there.
Yep.
You get that one pit stop back and
And he's
Bowman's
done.
in and
Yep.
Chase is out. Or is it two out? The two's out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that one pit stop is the
Yep.
the deciding factor of his entire playoff.
Yep. And that's why every lap, every pit stop matters in the season because you just don't know. So uh now we're moving on. So now we can wrap up Bristol. We'll see what they take from this towards next year. Should the Bristol night race continue to be a night race, or should they move it to the daytime so you get more consistent tire wear? I know that's a topic of
I
conversation.
I thought Harvick was out of his damn mind with that.
Mhm. Yeah,
I agree with Harvick most all the time, but I don't know what the hell he's thinking.
yeah, when he says, "Oh, they should just be during the daytime for the fans and the ratings," him and look, and same thing. I agree with Harvick a lot of the time. On this one, they're wrong, in my opinion. It's just like if you've listened to DVC this week, there's a reason why they call Jeff Burton the mayor. That dude is the most like no non-opinion having, politically perfect. Might as well be named last name Jeff Burton dash France. So listen to him. But anyway, so I had picked Bell to go out. That didn't happen. I had picked SVG to advance. That didn't happen. Um,
Tried to tell y'all.
yep. I'm with a lot of people though. I really thought 20 something playoff points was
Mm-mm.
gonna be enough. And I will say with how chaotic Bristol was, if he had finished in the top 15, he would have been damn close. You know, had he not given up so much ground in the previous stuff, but there was because I mean Bristol was so chaotic, you had an opportunity. If you executed well and your several people had problems, you kept yourself in contention in the
He
first year, you gave yourself a way through.
he's gonna have to win. Well, there's less road course races next year, but he's gonna have to win all of them
Yeah.
entering the playoffs, and he's still probably not gonna make it to the
No.
second.
So we lost Dylan, we lost Bowman, we lost Barry, and we lost SVG. Pretty much what everybody expected. Bowman to me was a little bit of a shock. That
Bowman and Logano flipped for me. I think I had Logano going out.
I didn't
I
expect.
remember right.
I expected Logano to make his way through. They're too good when it counts. I was expecting Cindric to have more problems than he did, and he managed to find his way through. And Chase had solidly found his way through till he, put himself in a position to get knocked out. But they survived, thankfully, for them. So now we're on to the round of 12. Starting below the line here, we've got Cindric, Logano, Chastain, and Reddick. I think Logano's going to race his way up. And honestly, I think Chase Elliott's going to fall out of all those that are above the line right now. Now, Bubba's only 1 point to the good. Chase is 5 to the good. Briscoe's 10 to the good. But Briscoe's been running so fast. I
Yeah.
just don't see them having a problem between Kansas and New Hampshire. That by the time they get to the Roval, one, he ran second at Sonoma. He's a pretty damn good road racer now. That he's with the 19 car. And with that group.
The my thoughts is, and I know this never happens, but this will be the first time that the way it sits now is the way it stays.
Okay. So you think everybody
Nobody's gonna
gets in,
fall
stays
out.
in,
The
and
people
everybody
below
falls.
are gonna stay. What I
Okay.
think.
Well, I mean, Joey's been a monster at Kansas before, and he's been a monster at New Hampshire. So if they start off at New Hampshire on the right foot, then I feel pretty confident that by the time they
I
get
I
over,
look for Hendrick to be tough at New Hampshire, just like they were at Gateway. I
yep,
think they have found something on the flat track, and I look for them to rebound, if you will, from dismal Bristol.
yeah,
But
so
with that, I also see Christopher Bell being very hard to beat.
yeah. Do you see any chance of Tyler Reddick making it out of the next round?
Unless he pulls off a miraculous Kansas, no.
Okay. Well, Bubba's won at Kansas before, so I have a hard time betting against him there.
And
And
I had him winning
are
our
there.
preseason.
Um, Ross Chastain, he was just, we didn't really even talk about him in the first round, and he's 2 behind. So, and you look at the tracks that we've got coming, I just don't see it for him. So I agree. I think he stays below. Logano is, like I said, the only one, he's 2 back that I see because he's got Big Ball Paul as his crew chief. I do see a way for him to get out. And
The next three winners are going to be Bell, Bubba, Larson.
so you think Larson's going to win the Roval, Bell's going to win New Hampshire, and Bubba's going to win Kansas?
Yes.
Okay. I don't, that's not impossible for sure. Um, we'll see how devoted to winning the 88 team is now that they've been booted from the playoffs. So they're going to go up there and spoil the show and still win the last road course race of the year or not. Um, looking at everybody else's, so Briscoe's 10 up, Blaney's 19 up, Bell's 20 up.
Now, I just thought of this. It's
Yep.
beautiful. I don't see it happening, but I mean, it's something that could be done.
Yep.
What matters, the driver championship or the owner's championship? What matters the most money
Well,
wise?
if you ask fans, it's going to be the drivers' championship, but in reality, it's the money championship because that's how the charter payouts are handed out.
You
So,
put SVG in the one at um, at the Roval.
yeah, I would. Well, yeah, switch the owner points in the back
No,
end,
just
or just
put it
put it
in the
in
one.
one.
Yeah, same
Yeah,
car.
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, that's because the worst the 88 car now can finish is 16th. So why not try and jump the one car up the standings if you can?
Yeah,
Um, because honestly, if the one car has problems, and I would honestly, I don't know if you can do that if you can swap them.
yeah.
Well, hold on.
Why couldn't you?
Hold on. If you can swap them with one still being playoff eligible and one not.
Yes.
So it'd be a very interesting question because technically one team is still playoff eligible, the other one's not. One driver still playoff eligible. So if you put Ross in the 88 and Ross does something, does that then move what happens to Ross? Does Ross move forward?
Ross
Even
moves forward. If Ross if Ross won the 88 for some reason at the Roval,
Mhm.
Ross would still be in it for the drivers championship, and the 88 would get more points towards being higher in the standings.
Yeah,
But then they would feel like they've screwed up with the owners' points.
yeah.
But we all know that SVG is far better road course driver than Ross. So do you risk Ross's championship, driver championship for an owner's championship, which is a
Pay
way
more.
bigger benefit?
Well, I mean, they're not going to win the owners championship. That being said, they definitely could progress at least to the round of eight and finish no worse than, probably eighth at that point with one of those, which is big financially, especially in the new payout where they're getting substantially more money.
Right.
Um, that would be an interesting decision. Um,
Yeah.
see, I'm confident the five that are the starting five will advance. No
Okay.
problem. Denny, Byron, Larson, Bell, Blaney, they'll all make it through no problem. The next ones, like I said, Briscoe's up 10, but I feel like performance wise, they're solid.
Yep.
Chase is 5, but I think their consistency has really started to waver. That's why I say he's going to fall out
I
where
mean,
Bubba accumulated
hasn't it waited?
in round one. Hmm?
His consistency is what helped him not fall out after a wreck at Bristol.
No, no, you're not wrong, but all he has to have is one bad race, and he's starting with only 5 bonus points.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I just don't, because the hole they're
I
starting.
will. I will be on the fence with you there.
Yep. So it's not that I don't think the five team based on their season long performance should outperform the two, should outperform the 22, should outperform perform the one and the 45. But
Yep.
that was pre-playoffs. The five team in the play or the nine team in the playoffs has had their problems. They've been good but not great. And the people
Okay.
below the line have also been okay but not great. So I can see that one falling out where Bubba, even though he's only one to the good, after we finish at Loudon in Kansas,
Bubba's one of the best
expect him
drivers
to
on track
be,
right now.
yep, I expect him to be safely inside when we get to the Roval. And he's become a good road racer already. But I mean,
Oh
he's
yeah.
won at Kansas before, and he won at Indy on the flat track. He, you know, they're there. So
Yep.
I can see where they can get knocked out because they only have one bonus point to start. But I just feel confident based on their performance right now that they should be good. So I'm going to say my four out. I'm going to swap in Logano and take out Chase. I'm going to say
Okay.
2, 145, and 9.
Okay. I stick with
You're
the
going to stick
bottom four.
with the ones that are above are going to be in, and the ones below are going to stay below. Okay.
First time ever. I think that'd be first. That'd be his first time ever for
Where
nine
there's
to
no
12.
change. I think
Yeah.
so, honestly.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, it's entirely possible somebody from the top could blow it, but I just don't see it happening.
No, I don't. They're all running decently good.
So, all right. So now let's talk about what we've been hearing. So last week, Jordan Bianchi-Baum mentioned, one of the formats that's being talked about sounds like it's probably going to be the format based on a lot of the garage discussion. Next year's, we're keeping the playoffs, but it's going to be switched to a 3 race round, a 3 race round, and a 4 race round. It's not getting rid of the playoffs, but it's a much better sample size towards the end in terms of the uh,
Consistency.
championship. It'll be a much more even evaluation of who's deserving, both team and driver, and add some of that integrity back that's been missing. Because so much can happen in a given race. And yes, any given Sunday or Saturday for a race, the best team may win or lose, but there's so much is out of your control. It really does need to go back, swing back the other direction away from the so heavily handed toward entertainment back towards more of a credibility standpoint.
Mhm.
I was looking for 2026 schedule real quick. So with that in mind, I wanted to pull up the
Well, while
20.
you're looking, I'll tell the other parts of it. Um, the rumor that I heard is still 16 drivers, but winning your in is gone. Um, you would be race 3 races, bottom five gone, race 3 races, bottom five gone, and then you would be a top six 4 race round, and they would all start at zero. They would all be even on points. There is no bonus for the regular season, which I don't like because the regular season should matter um, towards a championship, in my opinion. But the last round would be all
Just
of them starting
heads
out
up.
even.
Best one, most points wins out of 4 races. Okay.
Yeah. And then the other thing is when I think I'm out. Did I already say winning your end's gone?
Yep, which I like that. I like that winning is so important, but we've
I
seen
kind of wonder if
this
winning in the
sport.
playoffs matter though. I wonder if that's still going to be there. If you win in the first
To
round,
advance.
you're locked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm assuming that the winning will in each round would still advance you.
Also, winning is going to be more points. Winning a race will be worth more points supposedly.
Well, that should have happened already because let's just
Yeah.
look at this weekend. Okay, so Christopher Bell wins the race.
And Ryan Blaney finishes fifth with more points.
Ryan Blaney finishes fifth, gets more points, and the difference between winning the race and second is still only 1 point. You only get bonus points towards the next round. But if you're talking about racing during the championship to get during the regular season, the first 26 races, to get into that top 16, you have to get rid of winning you're in, or you have to massively increase the value of a win points wise,
Right.
because otherwise you have a season like Brad Keselowski's or SVG's where, I mean, regardless of whether or not you think SVG belongs to the playoffs or not, the man won 4 races leading up to the finale of the regular season. And all he got for it was 20 bonus points. It really didn't bring him up in the standings very much, which is insane. The fact that he won 4 events, it's not like he fluke won a single race all year and got his way in there. He won four.
Yep.
That's a big deal. That's a great season for anybody, regardless of what your specialty is. And so to see him with, if you added a 10-point bonus or even a 20-point bonus to the points you accumulate by winning a race versus second place, that's 80 points for him. That massively jumps him up in the standings where he may would have gotten close to qualifying for the top 16 on points that way, which is how it should be. If you've won 4 races, if you've won just under 1/6 of the races that are in the regular season, you should be fighting for the championship. And the fact that winning 4 races still didn't even get him close to sniffing there because the rest of the season just was so up and down, and it's his first time full-time cup racing. So I don't think that if he won four more next year, I think he'd be a lot closer. But still, you know, the 1 point difference alone is just crazy.
Well,
That's how you get is 1 point more in the regular season. Yeah, you get five more bonus points, but those are worthless in the regular season in helping you achieve a better ranking. And,
so am I
and
right
you know,
in the final four races last year? Are they
so yeah,
Kansas,
for 20,
Talladega, Martinsville, and or
so for
and
2026, the final four races, if we do go to this format, it'll be Phoenix, Talladega, Martinsville, Homestead. So you'll have mile, 2.5 mile, one half mile, mile and a half. And so you're going to get a sampling of everything but a road course, which I'm okay with. I feel like overall, and I would rather have Talladega than I would a road course, truthfully. Even though the plate races are more chaotic, when Talladega is not your only make or break, and you've got two other races, Martinsville and Homestead, then I'm okay with Talladega being there because you have three other races from which to pad your points or to make up ground.
and I like that if this is what it is, six there's a potential of going into the final race with all six drivers still real close together.
Yep. Yep, I agree. So if we get three, three,
It
four,
could
I
still
mean,
be winning your win to win championship. Could.
yep. So in this scenario, it would be Darlington, Gateway, Bristol, first round. So just the way it was this year. Then you would get Kansas, Vegas, Roval, which I would hope they would change that away from the Roval. They can always go back and do that, but um apparently it's sold out for next year already because it doesn't say you can buy tickets. So maybe
For
they can't
what?
change it for the Roval already for next year.
I doubt that.
Which I'm gonna say this. If they once they announce the playoff format and they say the final four races are, you know, they announced the final round as those four races, all four of those races tickets are going to disappear in RV because it's going to be a totally different, you know, approach to the playoffs. It's not going to be going there and all right, I'm only focused on this one race. And I do think that the good thing about this change, if it does come to fruition, just because you lock in, let's back up. If you win at the Roval, doesn't really help you because there's no road course in the final, but it doesn't give you like a head start. But if you win at Kansas, like they usually do, or at Vegas, where you can kind of just check your box and wait till like they've been doing, and wait till Phoenix and just focus all your energy on.
Yeah.
You
Testing,
can't do
testing, testing, just that one race, yeah.
Yep, you can't do that anymore. With four races, you can't ignore the next sets of tracks or disciplines. You can't just sit and ride. You need to be practicing across multiple disciplines. So it's not like where Logano has won in the past and then been able to focus on Phoenix or Blaney and the others, you won't be able to do that anymore. So I do think that's good. You're not gonna, it actually adds more value to the other races. Like they're not just, well, it doesn't matter what happens in them. I got another, I got a mulligan. No, you need to be really ready because especially if winning advances there, well, there's four races left. There's six spots. Half the spots are going to go to race winners potentially, and the other half are points. So you definitely can't afford to just lay back. So, um, I I'll be interested to see when they announce that. They're probably going to wait till the end of the season because of all the things that are tied up in the lawsuit and everything. But I would be good with that as an approach for a couple of years. Let's just run the last four races, heads up, top six. All right, you got 4 weekends. There's 60 points available or 61 points available per
I,
race. Good luck.
I'm more interested to see if they do drop the win you're in. I really am.
I would,
I think that'll be a bigger deal than the format itself.
yeah, because they've touted it for so long, the win and you're in. Like since 2014, you're talking about over a decade of win and you're in gets you in. And I think you've seen enough
This
times.
will force you to be consistent as you should, as racing should be. You
Yep, it will
know,
put you for performance more in the regular season because you're no longer able to just circle a race and say we're going to put all our marbles in. the road courses or all our marbles
Be-
on the plate races. Like,
Because if you go back in time and look at that guy does the Winston Cup point standings, but if you
yep,
just look at that, if you just look at just that, I
yep,
think since 2014, I think there's only two drivers that actually won the championship that would have won with consistency, and the you know what I mean, like
yep. Well,
two guys won the championship that would have won anyway in any format.
well, just look at, for example, if you just go back and look at the people who got in who did nothing while they were in there. Took a spot from somebody who Martin Truex got knocked out being fourth in points on the season.
Austin Dillon.
Austin Dillon, the year he bumped Almirola at Daytona and advanced his way in the championship. Last year, Harrison Burton. Michael McDowell winning the Daytona 500, doing nothing else all year long, gets in. Michael McDowell wins at Indy in the road course, gets in,
Hmm.
does nothing. Ricky Stenhouse wins Daytona, does nothing. You know, and it's great for their teams financially.
Um,
You are watering.
Harrison Burton last year.
Yep, you are watering down the overall importance of a championship by saying it. To me, it's when everybody says, "Oh, stick 'em," when you try and say, and this, I was listening to Jeff Burton talk about it, and he was talking about, you know, if Harrison didn't make it and he got bumped out or whatever, he'd be okay with it. You know, you should have won. To me, he was trying to justify the win you're in. And to me, I just can't justify the win you're in with the way it is right now, because that to me is the equivalent of the NFL saying the Bengals went 1-10 this season in this coming season, but they still deserve to be in the NFL playoffs. No, they don't. Or 1-10 or whatever. Like, no, you don't. You didn't perform all season. Why should I? That would be the true definition of a real wild card. I got one win all year or no wins all year, and I'm still going to give you a chance for the Lombardi Trophy. Have you lost your fucking mind? Like, you wouldn't do that. Nobody would watch the Super Bowl at that point because they
Yep.
would truly would be a joke. And they're never going to do something like that. So to say I won 1 of 20, I'm 1 in 26, and I also am like 30th in points, but I'm 1 for 26, and because I won one out of 26 games, I should be in the playoffs. That's a bad argument.
Yep.
And or two even. SVG won four. I believe he should be in the playoffs, but I also think if you were to weight wins appropriately, he probably would get there anyway. But he would still have to perform instead of
I,
going out there and winning four. If he didn't get there, then he didn't get there, and that's if he didn't run well enough, then that's too bad. But he still had a really good season with 4 wins.
I wonder with this change if they're going to get rid of playoff points altogether and make leading laps and leading the most laps matter again.
Well, there's a couple things we've talked about like that. Like I would like to see a point for leading a lap. I would like to see a point for leading the most laps. I would like to see, even if we kept the playoff system as is, I'd like to see him get rid of the resets. I think that
Well, as the rumor shows, at the last round there is no reset. It's just zeroed.
no, I'm just saying in the rounds leading up to it, because if I'm good enough to get into the championship, I agree that if you finish the regular season and you've got 4 wins and you're the regular season point winner and you've got 60 points, let's just say above the cut line, that's a big enough advantage. I spotted you a whole race. If you can't
Yeah.
make it through the next 2 rounds to the finale, then you failed. That's your fault. I shouldn't give you an automatic berth to the end. Maybe an automatic berth to the second round, but I kind of did when the fact that you got you had however many wins. Plus, as the regular season champion, I'm handing you 3 wins worth of bonus points as it is right now, 15 points. So it's like winning 3 races. Byron got that with only his 2 wins plus that. So it was like he had 5 wins on the season.
Yep.
I feel like that's enough of an advantage already.
Yep.
Like how many hands up do I have to give you before you get there? Before it's legitimate enough or delegitimizes it. And vice versa for like Joey Logano going out there and arguing that he, you know, on his behalf based on the way he won it. And again, I think the 22 team and the 12 team, the 3 championships they've won so far, with the next gen under this format, and they have performed when it mattered most. And there's nothing wrong with that, other than arguing, well, we were the best team all year. If I had to if I had to bring the field goal post back to you because the other guys were so far downfield, you really weren't the best team.
Yes.
So, you can argue it from multiple angles. I'll be interested to see, like you said, if they get rid of winning you're in, how much more are they increasing wins in total terms of points value? Like how heavily are they going to weight it? Are we going to bring back some other points incentives? Should we have a point for getting the pole when it's as long as it's not rained out and it's like a naturally one speed pole? Then should we get a point for that? Should we look more at like how in the F1
You
some
get
of the
points
points?
for winning the pole of the drag race.
Yep, and in F1 you get a point, you get a championship point. So,
Okay.
um, should we look at that? There's a lot of ways you could do it that would give you where you could add points all over the place for teams to pick up to make it still tight.
It makes more storylines too. So I mean, it's a win-win.
Yep.
So
So no more lawsuit news for now, other than Denny Hamlin came out to Law and Order, I think it was at Bristol. That was funny. Where he's like kind of poking at him.
didn't know that, but that's pretty good.
Yeah, where he came out to like the Law and Order theme. It was like down, 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 down.
That's pretty good. I
No,
wish I'd known that. I did not know
I,
that.
I saw that and I was like, that's a nice little like poke him in the eye type thing. Um, I am rooting for, I predicted at the beginning that I think Penske was going to go 4 for 4 with the next gen. But if by some reason either Denny can win the championship or Bubba or Tyler, that would be just as good to see NASCAR have to hand him their championship trophy with the Bill France name on it, knowing that Bill France is rolling over in his fucking graves, hates charters, and they're being sued. It would be like the perfect irony sauce. And to see Denny like drop the mic and be like, I'm retired. I've got my 60 plus wins. I'll see you in court December 1st, assholes.
Right.
Like that would be the
And then
ultimate F
if
you.
they win the championship and they NASCAR acts stupid and
No.
doesn't show up to hand it to them, maybe just kind of has somebody else do it.
Do the
They could
Brian
use
France
that
thing
in
where he walks
court.
out, hands Jimmy the ring, walks back, doesn't even say
Yeah.
anything. Yeah.
Yep. Yep. But that's all I got for this week, brother.
Same. I'm excited because we've got another new tire. New Hampshire's flat. I
No,
I was gonna feel bad.
That's the same tire from Iowa and the same tire from Gateway.
No, but it's new for New Hampshire. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Like
okay.
they didn't run
Okay.
this one at New Hampshire last year, so they're running that higher wear tire that we saw at Gateway, New Hampshire. Was it? It was Richmond in Iowa, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Richmond,
put on
Iowa, and
good racing.
Gateway.
So put on good racing. So I'm hopeful that Loudon can sometimes be a snoozer. I'm hopeful that we're going to get a better race. That being said, who do you think is going to win?
I already told you, Christopher Bell.
I agree. If it ain't Bell, it's probably going to be his teammate Briscoe. Because Martin Truex was pretty damn good there too, and so was the 19 car. So,
Like I said, I think Hendrick showed they found something on flat tracks at Gateway.
yeah,
Um, Stuff happened within the race that screwed up the strategy, but I think they all found something at. I mean, I'm talking all four cars found something, and there's a chance that Hendrick wins there too. But I still think Bell is just too damn good there, and he's gonna be your winner.
well, Bell is plus 20 if he wins and locks himself in. But I mean, he's going to run good at Kansas too. He runs well there. But if Byron and Larson don't step out good at New Hampshire, I think they're in trouble because they've run well in the past at these others, there's no more mulligans. Like everything is way too close together now. Uh,
Yeah, well,
they don't have
Larson always runs great at
24
Kansas.
points. It's
And
a
always
lot,
runs
but it's
great at
not.
Georgia. So
Yeah.
I don't think there's much to worry about with that, but I am slightly biased as far as that. So
I feel like between New Hampshire and Kansas, before we even get to the Roval, he should be solidly locked down based
yeah,
on how they ran at Gateway and how he's run at Kansas before. You
yeah.
know, wins, speed.
And he won the spring Kansas race, and he hasn't won since. So
Yep.
hopefully they'll get back on their horse.
Yep. So, all right. I can't think of anything else other than, oh, we forgot to give one guy his kudos. Corey Heim did a great job this weekend.
Oh yeah,
Time,
he
in the cup race,
he already has more top 15s in two races than
yep.
uh what's his nuts who drives a 35, Alan?
Oh, Herbst.
Yeah,
Yep.
he's
So
already
time
driving it.
continues to show he's ready for cup, especially in a race that produced such high tire wear. He did very well. He
And
never put himself in
that
too bad
car was
position.
beautiful. Him and Bubba's car both. I loved them both.
Yep.
These teams were amazing.
So, all right. Well, that's
I
all
don't
we
know
got.
what the hell Robin Hood is, but that was a
It's
beautiful
a
movie.
it's a investment app,
Oh, okay.
but yeah. So we'll see what New Hampshire brings us, and we'll talk next week, buddy.
All right, buddy.
All right, everybody out there, thanks for
See
listening.
everybody else.
Have a good one.